everyone, Alexa Donne here, and today I thought we would do a little goal check-in. I don't normally do this, but I realized yesterday I am actually currently mired in revision hell, which is why you really haven't seen a video from me lately. Sometimes it's just too much, but in the middle of that I went, you know, vaguely recalling the goals video I made in December and posted in January, I think I've hit most of my goals for the year already, which is like, And some of them very recently, they were ones that could have gone either way where, anyway, I thought it would be fun to go over what my goals were for the year, my writing goals to be clear, and where I am with those, which essentially functions as a writing update because some of the cool stuff where I was like, is that I have like newfound direction of where I'm going to go next, and that is exciting to share. Because that first goal was to finish my second YA thriller, and I think at the time that I made that video, my book wasn't announced. I wasn't able to say publicly, well, I sold it, so I have to finish it, though it was like a wink, awkward wink thing. I mean, so at the time when I set that goal, I had about 30,000 words. I had sold it on proposal and I knew I had to finish it, write about 60,000 words. I did it. It was hard. I vlogged the whole thing. You can watch those videos. But yeah, one thing I mused in that video, rewatching it was fun, was, I don't know if I could have drafted in 2020 and like, you know, I'm going into 2021 so energized. Yeah, no, it was still really, really hard. That like pandemic trauma energy makes everything harder. And so I did it. But it took me from January to the very end of May. I sent in a draft that technically was a draft on June 1st. I'm currently knee-deep in my revisions, my dev edits with my editor, literally like in the middle. I'm perpetually behind, like I was behind on drafting the draft, I am behind on the revisions, but compel or high water, want this book to come out in fall 2022. But like a very, very bad author, as one does, I am not done with this book. This book is my responsibility, and yet I'm already thinking about what I'd rather be working on, basically, even though I don't even love drafting the most. I love editing, and yet I think we always have like this reaction when we are in the middle of it of like, ooh, what's the shiny new thing? So let's talk about those other goals. The second one was to develop my third YA thriller, which I was calling my Dateline YA. And the update here is I still haven't figured out, I have some vague ideas of how to make that book work. And by work, I mean on its face, it has a very character-driven premise. It's a true crime-driven thing, if you can't tell from the fake working title. But I like to have things that have like I like the tropes obviously, and I like to have a decently commercial through line so that it has a high concept pitch so that I can hold myself to task in terms of making sure it stays fast paced. I don't like it to meander. If it's too meandering, I can't write it. I don't have a magical solution yet, but I had a brainwave. First I had a panic, and then I had a brainwave 3 weeks ago. And it's so funny because I ended up not needing it, but I thought like maybe I'll do like a video on how to like force yourself to have ideas when you're feeling stuck. I created like this Google document because I was basically like, I had a call with my editor who seems for some reason to really like me, and I realized, oh, when this book is done, I have to pitch another one. I want to pitch another one, but it was like that pressure of, oh, I have to get my shit together, right? And I had nothing, like concrete. I wasn't feeling confident enough in the other one that had been the original goal. I made a document, and mind you, this maybe mostly helps for thrillers, but I feel it can be transplanted to other genres. Y'all, I literally made a series of bullet pointed lists of like tropes that work well in YA thrillers, my favorite YA thriller tropes, weird areas of knowledge I have that I want to write books about, like, and it was a brain dump document that I started to basically kick my butt in, like, to just try to like come up with something brilliant. Oh, I had a bullet pointed list of cool motives, like, and I started it, but I didn't finish filling it out because before that could happen, I had dinner with some friends, in-person dinner, what a novelty, right? With some writer friends, very important. And in talking through my anxiety with them and my problem of like, I know I need a brilliant high concept YA thriller idea and I don't have one. And it was bothering me. It was kind of keeping me from my revision. I mean, I of course am finding any excuse to keep me from my revision. I had it, just talking through it with them, and specifically one of them, Laura Cadner, who has a channel on YouTube, go watch it. She's a great author, also agented, who makes videos, and we're both thriller writers. She offered me a nugget. And this is what good friends, good writer friends do. I do this with my writer friends, where she thought of something that would fix a problem I was having, working backwards from a trope I knew I wanted to write. You'll hear soon enough. I mean, it's not a secret. I want to write an isolation trope thriller, but I couldn't back my way into it and figure out how to make it work. She offered me a nugget, and I won't share what that is, but it was the linchpin. It was like, haha, I can now like figure out the story logic. That's very important for me. I need like a good reason for the thing to happen is what I mean. And like at the table, I also was like, wait, what about this for a motive? And like their reaction was horrified enough that I was like, that's good. I want you to be like, ooh, you're dark. Yes. So I feel really confident. It doesn't really have characters yet. It barely has a setting, but it's enough for me. I have a trope, a logical backbone to using that trope, and I have a motive. I know what the end game is. But next comes the fun part. I have to figure out fun things like structure and characters and voice, and the voice is gonna come from the characters, but speaking of voice. So I consider this goal achieved, because really the goal was figure out what the heck I'm gonna do next for a YA thriller, and I feel really, really confident about the path I am on. My next two goals, my third goal for 2021 was work on an adult thriller, and my fourth goal, and I was thinking it would be one, and then my fourth goal was figure out my other adult thriller. Plot twist, but still meeting goals here. Well, I have an adult thriller, and it's neither of those. But the thing that I was having a problem with in setting the goals, and this is where I didn't even know if it would happen in 2021, but I definitely wanted it to, which is why I made it a goal. I didn't feel confident enough about either of those like nebulous ideas. And they are ideas I have been incubating for 2 years, but they're basic, they're plot conceits. They're not plots. They don't have structure. They barely have character. Like they nebulously have an idea for characters for both of them, but not enough that I felt confident coming into 2021, and I didn't feel confident even 3 weeks ago that either of those were real viable options that I felt I could write in any near future. And that all changed. So thank you, Lainey. Again, our friends. Lainey said something in a chat, and it's really funny. I won't share what it is because it's personal to her, but she kind of made a joke about something real life related. And I went, that's a thriller. And I was like, can I use that? And in fairness, I'm barely using it because this is the beauty of story generation, but just that nugget of something Lainey said where she was like, yeah, totally, I'm not gonna do anything with that. I kind of extrapolated off of it into like, well, how is that a thriller? What would I do? This, thinking about all the things that I want to do. And I don't know, it all like came to me in like a rush at the same dinner partly where I was with those friends figuring out my YA thriller. I was like, well, I also have this too, this kernel of an idea half formed. And now I have motive, murder, characters, structure, multi-timeline, probably multi-POV, and I have the voice. The voice just hit me like a lightning strike in the shower, as always, and I sat down and I had to write it. And so I now have like, I know who this character is, at least one of the characters if I'm doing multi-POV, my investigator character, essentially. And I'm really excited because she doesn't sound like anything I've written before, because this is very firmly adult. She is like in her late 30s. Which it gives it a different tone. It's really dark and cynical, and I'm excited to write it. And the hard part now is not writing it, because I have to finish my YA thriller. Also, I know I'm in like the full flush of like, ooh, it's a new idea. Writing it is a whole other ballgame. It's gonna be hard. And actually, because I know I am playing with structure, with timeline, and with multi-POV, and a new category for me, I'm actually gonna try to really plan this one as much as I am capable of planning it, let's be real. But I did actually pretty well with Murder, She Texted in terms of how much I planned it out because I had to submit it for a proposal. So I want to take a similar kind of workshopping approach. Like I plan out a lot of the structure of Murder, She Texted on a top line level, and I'm going to do the same thing for this one, but especially I really want to figure out ahead of time who the multi-POVs are. I kind of know who they are, but when they come in and out, and because I'm using different timelines, I also have to I basically have to track a full story in one timeline and a full story in another timeline. And I want to, as much as I can with my little pantser brain, map that out. I'm so excited. I feel like I have smashed this goal, and it's the real reason I wanted to make this video because I'm just so jazzed to write an adult thriller. And yeah, I'm just sitting in the appropriate amount of excitement with a little tinge of terror, and I'm just so excited. So at this mid-goal check-in, I have the ideas. The next question is, will I write something before the end of the year? Let's see what we can do in 2021. It's gonna be really, really interesting. My next goal, my 6th goal, was to level up my YouTube editing skills. This is one that I haven't quite done. I did start using Magix editor at Lainey's suggestion, and I do kind of like it better than the one that I was using now that I'm used to it and comfortable with it. And I do at the least think it has improved some of my video editing in terms of my vlogs. I think they go smoother because some of the things that are typical in vlogs are easier to do in Magix, but I don't really think I've done anything in particular to hit this goal, to meet this goal, to level up my skills. But I did say at the beginning of the year that if anything was going to fall by the wayside, it would be this one. So we'll see. And then my 7th goal was to enjoy the Ivies release. I did. There's still some things where I didn't do everything I wanted to do, but a little grace, a little forgiveness. Because honestly, drafting Murder, She Texted took so much longer than I thought it would and was taking up so much bandwidth that yeah, there are some things that I wanted to do and didn't get to do, but it was a good time. I saw good friends, going out to bookstores and seeing my book, and I've gone back to some of those bookstores to sign, and it feels so nice, and those are things I didn't get to do on the last book, so all of that is a net positive. I consider this a goal met. I didn't get to have a traditional launch party, but I had a really good virtual launch. So many people were there. It was amazing to do it with Jessica Goodman, who is a new thriller writer friend. She's really good, by the way, and you should read her books. They Wish They Were Us came out last year, and They'll Never Catch Us is out in a few weeks. So I think next week, pick that up. And then my 8th goal, this is the one I think I'm definitely gonna fail. My 8th goal was to read 60 books. I started out just so optimistic because I more or less managed to do that last year, but I have had successive reading slump after reading slump this year in the first half of the year. I'm still reading, but I'm reading slower. I've also been going to my go-to when all else fails, read nonfiction, because when all else fails, I can read nonfiction. And when I've just really been stuck on catching up on my fiction TBR, especially my thriller TBR, which a part of me really hates because obviously I really enjoy reading them. But I'm just really, really behind on my reading, specifically in fiction. I'm going at a snail's pace. I don't even think I'm to 1/3 of that goal yet for 2021, or if I am, barely. So I'm probably not gonna hit this goal, but you know what? Never say never. So that is my mid-year 2021 writing goals check-in. Honestly, I feel like I've already hit pretty much all of them in just 7 months, which I'm did I just set myself really easy goals that I knew because in fairness, logically, some of them had to be achieved in the first half of the year. I also have a history of having brainwaves for books in this summer, so maybe it was just always meant to be. But I feel really good about feeling like I can see the next couple books. I can see the next couple years, because literally until 3 weeks ago, that wasn't the case. I was feeling slightly unmoored because I love writing YA thrillers. The Ivies is doing really, really well. My publisher seems really happy with me, somehow miraculously. My editor doesn't think that Murder, She Texted is trash. And it's oh, this is real. And so from that kind of panic, I feel so much better now. Though my poor agent, when I told her I have a really good adult thriller idea, finally, she was like, oh, and I'm yeah, get ready. We're jumping into adult. Not yet though. I think what I would like is if I could write it later this year, but I also know realistically that I'll probably end up writing the YA one first. And let's set a mid-year goal that continues to be a problem that I have, that I don't have any real concrete, like, I don't know how to do this. I really still want to get faster at drafting. Murder, She Texted was interminable. It took such a long time, and I know that's partly outside forces, including my own crushing anxiety, which has gotten exponentially worse, much worse in 2021 than 2020, if I'm being totally frank with you. But like, now that I have like 2 things I really want to write, I really want to hopefully figure out how to write faster. So let's see what the second half of the year brings. I want to know, how are you guys doing? Are we crushing our 2021 goals? Are we behind, but there's still plenty of time to catch up? If you are behind, let me send some of my good energy at you. Like, I have more than enough. You can have some of it. I'm feeling great. Let's talk about how 2021 is going in terms of writing for everyone. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Very, very sorry I haven't been posting to my regular schedule, but anxiety is terrible and revision is hard. But I'm here. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.